The date is October 22nd, 2018, and Gege Akutami has just released Chapter 32 of Jujutsu Kaisen, the beginning of the Kyoto Goodwill event arc. In this chapter, Gege finally introduces the Kyoto students, setting them up to be the rivals to our main cast. They suck! The Kyoto Goodwill event arc tries to set up the Kyoto students to be an actual rival to the main cast, but when you look at that scenario now, some guy on TikTok that I forgot described this as the dream team versus a bunch of high schools that had Steph Curry on it. This really is a coughing baby versus hydrogen bomb situation. I almost feel bad for Kyoto, because there is a pretty good argument for power cliffing here. The problem is that I don't really care enough. Now for the funny, everyone loves to make fun of the Kyoto students. So much so that it becomes kind of easy to forget what each of these people have actually contributed to the plot. So, let's go over what each of these bums have actually done. Not you. Momo. She sucks. She just sucks. Momo was mainly a character for the Kyoto Goodwill arc, and ever since then, she has been the most side character in the show. Although she has showed up in nearly every arc since, it's always the least important, most background, stupid shit. In Shibuya, she is part of the squad that tries to attack Kenjaku, after Mechamaru specifically tells them that they are too weak, and wow, she does nothing. She appears at the end of Perfect Preparation to cry. In Culling Games, she has a very minor role of exchanging information to Hikari. And in Shinjuku, she is in some flashbacks. No fights because she sucks. This is her list of fights. This one barely even counts as a fight. She loses this, and she loses this. She has one real fight, and it's in a low-stakes setting where she gets beaten by Nobara in a very embarrassing way. Complete wet towel of a character. No one will ever tell you, yeah, my favourite character is Momo. I did not even know her name for a long ass time. The craziest part is that she's not even the weakest in Kyoto. Kamo. Kamo is a weird one, because although he's about as middle of the road as you can get for this school, he does have some meat on his bones, some techniques here and there, but ultimately still sucks because he gets replaced by a far more interesting character. Although when he was first introduced he was definitely more on the stronger side, he essentially gets power cliffed by his lack of screen time, and therefore lack of any upgrades since the start of the show. I'm willing to bet that he got like 20% stronger since the start of the show. While he does have blood manipulation, it's just so much worse than Choso's. Not only is he less skilled overall, he doesn't have poison, and he can die if he uses too much of it, so he's only limited to like a small amount of usage of it. Kamo's only real time of being useful in this show is the first half of the Cursed Spirit Naoya fight, where he essentially assists Maki against Naoya. He does some cool stuff here and there. I like some of his usage of blood manipulation with these sentries and piercing blood, and he is quite an interesting character too. I really do enjoy his relationship with his family, but then two weirdos jump in, and the rest of the fight is really odd. That's honestly all he does in this show. While not entirely useless, he does still fit into the category of left behind. This one is just sad, because the only real thing of value that she actually does is die. I know that makes me sound like an asshole, but she really is just an extension of Maki. I don't know what else to say. She loses every fight she's ever been in badly, her design sucks, and her curse technique is lame. I'm not even being a hater, this is all just the truth. Mechamaru. Okay, now we are getting somewhere. Although I honestly forget his actual name, Mechamaru is a very solid number 2 for Kyoto. While his actual track record is pretty bad, he has lost every fight he's been in. Are you noticing a pattern here? And he's also killed off very early into the series. Despite this, Mechamaru was basically the MVP of Shibuya. He put up a very good fight against Mahito, outputting special grade levels of cursed energy, and damaging his soul a lot. I get that it was a temporary power-up, but he was definitely as strong as Todo, if not stronger at this point. But he was also smart enough to essentially set up the Shibuya incident for his side. Although his friends were stupid enough to ignore him, Yuji probably would have died without him, and shit could have gone so much worse without him telling everybody that Gojo was sealed. Overall, while he does have some pretty great moments, his mediocre track record ultimately places him below. Why was he written out for 4 years? 4 years of radio silence. That itself should bring JJK down 1 point regardless of what you score it. Todo is not only the best Kyoto member, he is also the best character in this show. Or at least top 3, I'm barely an agenda poster. I even had a video laughing at Gojo fans calling the most recent chapter bad, but I didn't like it so I'm making this instead. Back on topic. Todo is genuinely one of the best sorcerers in this show. His curse technique is not only cool as hell, it's useful as shit, both utility and fighting as a team. He was taught by a special grade, he has simple domain, and he's autistic. Calm the fuck on.
Facing up, and then you're gonna strike the ball.
Todo also easily has the best track record out of anybody in Kyoto. He basically won all of his fights, and although he took a 2-year break, he's back with a doohickey.
Hey kids, welcome back.
And it was revealed that the reason Kenjaku died was because of him. Need I glaze more? Yeah. At one point, she made a binding vow that she would never swing a sword again to increase her attack power for 1 slash. This was like her adult Gon moment. The guy just grabbed the sword. I mean, I'm not really sure what interesting commentary there is to be said about Miwa. It goes without saying that her track record is pretty ass. Are there any other students? Who the fuck is this? He shows up in Shibuya once and never again. The one thing he does is still up in the air, and whether it worked at all. This guy might be the most useless student. But why are Kyoto so dogshit in comparison? Well, the actual answer is that they aren't the main characters and Gege doesn't give a fuck. But in universe, we are essentially role-playing here. I can think of 2 main reasons. Reason number 1 is their education. The teachers at Kyoto are just pretty bad. Like, look, we have Utahime and Gakuganji. Let's do that analysis that we did for the students on the teachers. Utahime. She just sucks! She's not even a grade 1! We have a semi-grade 1, with no fights, doing the teaching. Her curse technique is an AoE buff, and it's not even that good. Gakuganji. I mean, he's fine, I guess. His guitars are pretty cool, but literally all of his fights are off-screen, so I really don't care about them at all. Better than the fucking Scar Woman. So that's the obvious answer. Todo is strong because he was taught by a special grade, and Mechamaru is strong because he has a heavenly restriction. Everyone else is just taught by a bum, whereas the Tokyo students get taught by literally Satoru Gojo. Now, there is actually a more interesting answer as to why the Kyoto students are so terrible, and it's that generally they are a bit more sane in the head compared to Tokyo. Chainsaw Man does this really well. In a lot of modern shonen, it's quite common that the more unhinged you are, the better your chances are of surviving and becoming stronger. When we look at Kyoto, they are generally quite level-headed individuals other than the strongest one. Whereas, we look at the strongest members of Tokyo, and they have a few screws loose. You know, a guy traumatized with the demon inside of him, suicide bomber, killed their entire clan, gambling addiction. Yuta's pretty normal, but even he did something pretty fucking wild last chapter. So what is the takeaway from all of this? How useless actually are the Kyoto students? The answer is that, yeah, they're bad enough that the hate they get is deserved. And let's be honest, Gege doesn't care enough about any of them to make them stronger, especially when the manga only has like a max of 6 months left. Yep, if you didn't know, JJK ends in less than 6 months.